I've been slow with everything because not young, not old, 46, but old enough to remember
You're
computers
40
coming in.
You're 46.
Yes, yeah.
I was about to say, fuck off. You can't. How? What? You look a little younger than me.
Shut up. That's not true.
Oh man,
Can you
I'm
see the
35, but you're
grey
much
coming
younger
in
than
here?
me. Yeah, I've got the grey here, and here
Oh, yeah.
it seems to. I think the Scots in me is ginger, and then the rest.
I can see a little bit of red, a little bit of red. I'm actually from a very, well, it's weird. So my dad's family are Irish,
Mhm.
mum's family are English. We
Right.
all grew up in Wales, and on the Irish side, he allegedly had sort of dark hair, blue. We've all got blue eyes. My mum's family is sort of white blonde,
Mhm.
blue eyes. I don't know. I think I had brown hair at one point. I've not had hair for so long. I've not had hair for longer than I had hair at this point. So, it's kind of,
It comes to us all. Don't worry. I'm on the way to that part.
oh, yeah,
I'm if I'm not wearing the hat, I'm having
you've
to
got the
do.
flag cap.
I'm
You're
starting
rocking
to
the
do the
flag cap.
famous
It
the comb
works.
over.
It really, really works.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm just the one thing actually I'm doing, and I know this isn't really Nessie related, but I was on a shoot like 10 years ago or something, and it was near an allotment. And this
Mhm.
old chap came up and started chatting to us. He had his bike and this thing of vegetables, and he was bald like me, and he took his hat off, and he was very brown faced, and he had a perfect white circle on his head. I was like, oh no, don't do that. So when I'm walking about in the sun, I sort of like every half an hour I take it off for a
The
15-minute top off.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to sort of balance out. And that's the kind of stuff you got to think about. So
That you
fingers.
don't want to think about, but you have to think about it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have to. You have to. At one point I had a little, the little semicircle at the back.
Or
I
the
had a
monk.
little yeah, I had like a little caftan in there in the shape of the semicircle.
Oh, you mean sorry at the back of the
The
actual
cap,
back?
yeah, with the little strap joints in it. It's just, there should be a user manual.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
really should.
Yeah. We should all come prepared with one. So where are you originally from then?
Cardiff, Wales.
You're from Cardiff.
Yeah, nobody gets
Miles off.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Because when I first heard you speaking, I mean, I think it was one of your. Oh, it must be a couple of years ago. I think it was during COVID. You were kind of. It was like a Christmas message you were giving to everybody.
Oh yeah.
And I remember that, and that's the first time I heard your voice, and that's not what I was expecting. I've been telling my wife you're from Finland.
No, no. I mean, well, the name is for a start. It's not a Finnish name, but
No, it's not. This is where I got confused.
no. I used to say, people used to say to me, "Oh, what's with," and especially in Wales, especially I came from the most Cardiffy type neighborhood you could come from. I always say that Cardiff people kind of sound like Scousers in a way. I suppose it's because a lot of Irish there as well
Yeah.
in Cardiff. And they sort of a Scousey sort of sound to it with a Welsh twang,
Mm-hmm.
and very different to the rest of the world. And the neighborhood I grew up in, I could do the accent actually, I think, and it was very. I live in London. So to people in London, I describe it as the Welsh Hackney,
The
and
Welsh Hackney.
yeah, the
Right.
Welsh Hackney. And anyway, uh, if they said hello to you, they'd say safe. Like, are you safe? So they'd say,
Safe. Right.
oh, safe, and that was a going, innit? But I'd say
Right.
safe
Okay.
boys. And I remember passing a big group of them one time, sort of proper gangsters, but they knew me, local types. And one of them said, oh, safe, and I said, oh, safe boys. And somebody at the back of the line of thugs said, who the fuck's that? And the one at the front who knew me said, oh, don't worry about that. That's Andy. He talks funny, but he's one of us.
Oh dear God. He talks funny, but he's one of us.
I thought, I fucking talk funny. Listen to yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
But that was the neighborhood. That's just the neighborhood. It's sort of like it's the equivalent of a Ned, like a Glasgow Ned. It's the same thing.
Like a chav.
It's Ned. Yeah.
I know what you mean now.
Ned.
I know what I mean.
Yeah.
Scotland's much the same. It's even in as small as kind of Midlothian.
Uh,
I think we're South Midlothian, but even if you go to East, West, whatever it is, or through to West Lothian, it dramatically changes the closer you get to Glasgow. And obviously, the higher up you go as well. It's a strange one. I lost most of my Highland kind of my twang when I moved down here. So
you were from the Highlands originally?
yeah. So it was from a wee place called Plockton. It's up near Skye.
Oh wow,
It's do you know
that's at the top.
that? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Almost.
it's mainland. But
Yeah.
there's a famous castle that everyone talks about, Elan Donnan. I don't know if you've ever.
Okay, the Highlander Castle.
That's it. That's
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Connor
yeah.
MacLeod. What a man.
The McLeods.
That's it. So yeah, my village was literally just over the mountain from there.
Yeah.
And
Talking about Celts that don't sound Celtic, there's another one, Christopher Lambert.
yeah, I found that bizarre because you had Sean Connery, a
Yeah.
Scotsman, playing a Spanishman,
Yeah,
and it was Christopher Lambert. He's French, isn't he?
he's
And he's
a
playing
French American, I think. And,
right. He's got the biggest forehead on the planet.
and it's square. It's so square. I mean, apparently that weird stare that he's got is because he literally can't see without really super thick glasses. So in all the films you see him sort of doing that stare, it's because he can't see fuck all.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Just can't see. And I think that's a great story. Don't know how I know that. I'm not a big fan. Like the Greystokes thing, he did that really well. The Legend of Greystoke, Highlander, #1, good film. The rest of the stuff, let's just forget about it.
I don't think I finished #2. I don't think I did. And the Stalker one was just.
I saw it in a movie, I think, when I was a teenager or late teen, and I just was with a friend at the time. We just looked at each other like, how on earth did they fuck this up?
Yeah, the first one was so good though. It was
good.
So good, man. And the soundtrack as well was fantastic. And then, like you say, they introduced those. They didn't need to go and explain it. And
they're all from an alien planet,
Yeah. That's where I kind of jumped off, and I thought, oh, I'm out. Thank God we've got.
I was just kind of hoping that Bobby Ewing would get out of the shower at the end and reset the whole fucking thing, tell us it was a dream.
It was just a dream, yeah.
Just a dream. Oh, it's Bobby Ewing. Thank God. Yeah.
It's
now
like,
we know it was just a dream.
Yeah. You could call it was a side effects of the quickening. That's all it would be.
Yeah, that's right, quickening.
Wow.
I wanted to chat to you. I've been sort of watching what's been going on with the new Loch Ness Exploration that you've been setting up every weekend, every few weekends at the Loch. I love the little maps of where everybody's meeting. I love the little live feed, and I know it's a tenuous area for live feed, but
it's not the best.
Yeah, that's a given. Nobody can be blamed for that apart from the Highlands. And I was very interested in it because Loch Ness, I think, for cryptozoology guys, and especially for lake monster guys, and even though I've just done a book about sort of Bigfoot type creatures, really I'm a lake monster kind of guy. That was my beginning. That's where my mind's always focused. And I speak to Scott Mardis on from the Zombie Plesiosaur Society all the time before his death about lake monsters. Why are there many lake monster groups?
Yeah,
there's 4 or 5 reasonable ones, and there's about 1,000 Bigfoot groups.
Yeah,
and it just seems like the kind of subject to me that once you're in it, once it's got you, you just can't get away. I mean, when I've been at the Loch, I could look at that water for like 10 hours and not even feel bored.
Yeah. It's very, very captivating, and doesn't have to be blistering sun. I actually prefer Scotland, even the Loch, when it's a wee bit dreary, a wee bit grey, a wee bit foggy. There's
a bit of fog.
There's so much atmosphere up there.
Yeah.
And everyone, skeptic, believer, whatever it is, everybody looks at that water. If you're driving on either side of the Loch, everyone looks. But you're right. There's not many groups at all. I think that's kind of why I considered starting it. And then I know it's very, very small at the minute, and it'll be baby steps before we get to where we want to be. But we've all got to start somewhere. But you are right. There's loads of groups of Bigfoot, Yeti, what you want to call them. But there's not for lake monsters. There's not at all. And
not really.
Steve's the only one that's there, constant. I know you'll get individuals that'll go again, like Roland, but not an actual set group. And that's where I kind of thought, do you know what, that might be an idea rather than leaving it just to. I mean, I'm just using Steve and Roland here as an example. They've only got those eyes. It would be so much better if we had individuals around the place, like the original, the Loch Ness Investigation Bureau, back in the day, which got everybody so excited. But obviously that died down. That died down a lot, and people aren't as interested in it as they used to be. So part of me, it was almost like a fear as well. I didn't want that to end. And it got to the point where I'd watched all these documentaries and thinking, what do I do now? Like, I need to see more. And that's kind of what drove me to do it, thinking, why am I waiting? It's on my doorstep. Why don't I just go up there? I'll try and start this group to see if anyone wants to join in with me. And I've been pretty blessed that people have taken an interest into it, which is good. It's getting there.
Well, I think it's a great idea. The whole point, and I concur with what you were saying there, that for a long time, the Dick Rayners, the Adrian Shines, they're sort of retired now, those guys.
Yeah.
They've come to their conclusion. They did their work. But, let's give it to them. They did decades of work.
Oh, yeah.
Well done. And I mean, I don't think I could sustain that level of activity in one location. And they've done it. And yet, there's something about the Loch for a long time to me that seemed like something that happened and isn't happening anymore. And like I say, Steve is there, but he's just the main guy, and everybody else is mainly a tourist. Coming along and trying to catch a glimpse of something, or the cursed camera, which we won't go into just now.
I've on my notes, right? I've circled in it. Try not to talk about that fucking webcam. But we will. We will discuss it. Obviously, we have.
We will. I mean, we will. And
to.
in the politest terms, I mean, I understand why it was first set up.
Yeah.
By Mika, is that right? Is it Mika?
Mika. Oh God. Yeah, that's his name. It is his name.
Yeah, I forget his name. Carla. And great idea, fantastic. A bit far, but at least we can have a look at the Loch. Well done, thanks. And in my early days, I would get on and spend an hour and just go, you can't fucking see anything. Oh, shit. Okay, is that a boat? Is that a boat? And then I just got bored and thought, well, I don't know what I'm looking at, basically. And
it's that bad.
So leave it. Now, of course, for the newspapers, it's a great boon, because anybody who reports something goes onto the register, or at least it gets submitted. It makes the papers. We've got another Nessie sighting. That's great headlines. I send stuff to the newspapers. I've nothing against it. You do need something to grab people, but preferably something that's real, not just a sensational headline. Something that's got some substance to it.
Yeah.
So there it is. Fair enough. But with you guys, anyway, I thought it's starting again. The Loch Ness Exploration is starting again. All you need is a guy like Alan who's organizing people. Before you know it, there's a conduit for people to do it again.
Yeah. It is, yeah. And it's, I remember I was really nervous about doing it. Because we've had many discussions about this. What qualifies as a Loch Ness expert? I mean, there's so many different areas to talk about. It could be the biology, the geography of it, the history of it, just the lore or the mystery, anything like that. Roland is amazing for digging up all this stuff, and we need to give him credit for that. He is the guru when it comes to kind of information.
Oh yeah.
And like I've spent hours on his blog just reading even things that I've read before. I go back and I read them again. It's crazy. But touching on what you said earlier, with we're standing on the shoulders here of Adrian, of Steve, and I know he gets a lot of stick, but Dick Rayner as well. That man has massive amount of knowledge.
Oh yeah, and he's actually. I was really hard on him at the beginning, but he's as a fanatic. Now, 4 years in, looking back at the work he's doing, I'm like, you could say that part of his livelihood, I suppose, is based around the Loch Ness monster, and to constantly debunk actually is kind of a brave thing.
Oh, totally. I mean,
it's a brave thing.
Even his own footage.
Yes.
Debunk that I always get this bird wrong. Is it Mergansers?
Oh yeah, something like that.
And then
The water bird.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll call it that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that takes balls to come out and
Yeah.
challenge everything. And I think he's done the right thing, because otherwise you'll get people like individuals on the webcam who
Mm,
will scream every tiny wee bump or every bizarre wee
yeah.
thing. And that's not good. That's not healthy at all.
Every Erin kayak.
I didn't want to say it.
There
But
was that one that was definitely a kayak. Steve
that was,
Felton reported he spoke to the people who were in the canoe
yeah, yeah, it was a canoe or a paddleboard,
or
whatever it was.
something and got a timestamp, for the time they were there.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
no,
No, that
uh,
wasn't
yeah,
there. No, that must be, that's CGI, quite clearly.
yeah,
That must be that.
yeah,
But yeah, it's. I think, and you know yourself. You've been doing this for years. To go in blind, I think, is the worst mistake to make. I think if you go
mm,
in with an open mind, and I'm working my way through, what's his name again? Nicholas Winchell, and you've got,
oh, yeah,
yeah, Holiday and Stuart Campbell, all those kinds of.
yeah,
I'm trying to get a nice balance of, the skeptics and who believe and stuff like that. And
yeah,
I 100% do believe. That's why I'm there. But I also think it's important to record and film all these occurrences where
yeah,
it was almost a way to back up but challenge what the skeptics were saying at the same time. Because a lot of us will just take their word for it.
mm,
That annoyed me now and again. I'm thinking, ugh, great that this skeptic, or he or she, whatever it is, have seen these occurrences, but nobody else has. So again, this is why I think it's really crucial when we're up there. We film these wee things as well, so we can say, right, put that to bed. So we know that that's a natural occurrence.
well, absolutely. I mean, even the monster imposters need validation.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, absolutely.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Sometimes I think we often forget on the skeptical side of things. Sometimes there's something of how can I put it? Uh, it's disparaging. There's a disparaging sentiment underneath many skeptical um, theories and debunking of certain things. In the sense of wrapped within what they're saying is, if you believe this, you're a bit of an idiot, and
Yes,
if you don't accept what I'm saying, it's because you just don't agree with science or something. There's
I know.
many ways to say it, and sometimes the point is correct. But I always think, if your theory is good, and even if you're debunking if the theory is good, you don't need to put anybody down,
Yeah,
to get their assent. Because if it makes sense, you'll get them on board
yeah,
eventually. And that's one of the things I think I've learned over this 5 years, as well as this really steep uphill learning curve in perception.
yeah, yes.
Really, like, rock climbing at points. I've got the guide rope on and everything. And yeah, I've learned to sort of look at my own preference, where I was completely blind almost with Loch Ness because I was such a late monster fan.
Yeah,
I was sort of kind of passionate in the beginning and sort of very um, philosophically emotional about it, believer, sort of that kind of thing. And now I'm
absolutely.
at the stage where I don't think it's right for me to believe in a faith sort of sense.
Yeah,
I don't have the right to sort of. I've just gotta look at what's there and say, okay, well, it seems like this, or could it be that, and
yeah,
do the scales,
yeah, absolutely. It's like I say, it's healthy to do it. I mean, I think it was it Neil Gemmell, the researchers from New Zealand.
Mm,
He kind of summed it up. You prove God's real. No, do you still believe? Of course I do. It's things like that. If you've got enough faith and passion about something,
mm,
even if someone shows you there's no evidence, you will still go on. You will still pursue that.
mm,
But because we can't prove that it doesn't exist, I think that's one of the main things that I grab onto a lot, thinking, well, I understand the skeptical point of view and I understand the science behind it, but there's still this cluster that they cannot explain. And
witnesses. I mean, yeah.
yeah, oh man, huge amounts. And
Mm,
they're not liars. I'm sure there will be some in there that have
mm,
been proven to be liars and hoaxes and stuff like that, and they've been named and shamed. But there's this like I say, this group of people who are completely genuine, who didn't believe, who go up there thinking, what a load of rubbish, I'm just here for the pictures and whatnot. And then they come away thinking, Jesus Christ, I've seen something in here that I can't explain. And I'm sure was it not Robert Rhymes when, oh God, what was it his wife? I think they were there. And I may be wrong in this story, so I apologise if this is back to front. But I'm sure that they arrived there, and Robert was wanting to do his investigation. He wanted to do these experiments, and his wife, I think, was kind of thinking, "What a load of shit! Like what a load of baloney." But then I think that both of them had an encounter, and I'm sure it was his wife that turned round and said, "Honey, you take as long as you want. You got to find out what that is."
Yeah.
It's wee things like that. And my wife's the same. She thinks it's a load of crap. She's just not interested. She's next door with 2 doors closed. She was like, I don't want to listen. I don't want to listen. But there was a time when she was driving through Loch Ness, and there's a Boynes with Nessie.
Oh yeah.
And she panicked. She was like, oh. So even she was like, oh my god, oh my god. So you're not always a skeptic. There's no such thing.
No, not a true skeptic, because everybody secretly inside them knows that life isn't fully explained and the world isn't fully discovered. And one of the things I realized, that even in our own land, we've not fully explored the whole thing. 6.8% of the land is covered in urban sprawl. I mean, the British Isles or the United Kingdom. 1.9% of Scotland. We've got 31,466 lochs and lochans.
Yeah,
it's a
lot.
And I bet there's a lot of them don't even have names. Or
really
villages
don't.
around
I can tell you that for a fact. There's a few lochs that just don't have names at all because they're so isolated. People won't go to them. I mean, you're doing New Monroes. Me and my wife do a lot of Monroes. I'll look and be like, oh, what's the name of this one? And it's not on the map. So you're absolutely right. I mean, anything could be kicking about and stuff like that. It's really fascinating. And Scotland is the place for that. And Wales, I dare say, as well. You've got the, oh God, what are they called down there? The mountain range.
The Snowdonia and
you've got national parks and stuff like that. I mean, there's loads of beautiful things down there, but not just isolated to the UK. I mean, there's species getting discovered almost on a daily basis, and it's pretty incredible.
I mean, that's the thing that really grabs me, is that when they discovered or finally confirmed the billy ape long ago, this is like a gigantic chimp.
Yeah.
The lion killers, the story was around for so long, and suddenly there it is, this thing. And if you think of where they live, it's impenetrable. Like, yes, nobody's discovered it. Nobody's walking off into that jungle hoping to get something. When you mount an expedition like that, it's short, it's direct.
Yeah.
You don't just wander off into the bush hoping you're going to find something and find your way back.
Yeah.
You can get lost easily enough in the small forests we have. And I think it's just a weird thing. We've got Google Earth. We zoom in and see these places and like, oh yeah, we know what's going on. We don't know what's going on, even in our own land. I think we discovered a new species of grass snake here recently.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's okay. It's a subspecies.
It doesn't matter. It's
new.
Right. Yeah.
It's in Britain. It was always here, but there you go. It exists.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure the adder is the only kind of
poisonous snake.
Yeah.
A venomous snake. Yeah.
They're very small. They're small snakes, but
it's like a meter long or something.
Oh, actually, I didn't realize they were as big as that. But that goes to show that how long has that been here? It's unnoticed. It's crazy. And if you turn that attention to the water, the oceans around the world, that scares me. Like, I'm petrified of water that I can't see the bottom of. So you can understand.
Yeah. Oh, you hate Loch Ness?
Oh man, you've no idea. It really freaks me out.
You prefer to be on the shore?
Yeah, I will only go on a boat that is, I don't know. I mean, people say that Ness is supposed to be anywhere between 15 to 30, 40 feet, whatever you want to call it. I will go on a boat big enough for that. I won't go on anything smaller. That would freak me out. I wouldn't go in a kayak. I wouldn't do a paddleboard. So I'm definitely not going to be in the webcam. You'll never see me. You'll never ever see me. But there's a horrible bit. It's beautiful, but it's horrible. About the wee pier from Urquhart Castle going into the bay.
Oh yeah.
There is, and I'm sure I actually replied to this comment. There's a comment on Roland's blog where an individual was describing the amount of fear and this uneasy feeling while walking on to that pier.
Oh, yeah, I've read that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure it's all psychological. Well, it must be. But I get the exact same feeling. And I was down there recently, and I refused to walk onto the.
Really?
Oh no!
I've been on 2 occasions. I've been right next to the loch at night, several hours in the black, and it's completely black. Nobody understands that.
Oh, you didn't.
Even though this is a busy tourist area, there's a few twinkling lights off in the distance.
Yeah.
But it's a pristine environment. It's completely black.
Yeah.
And just sat there next to the water for a few hours, thinking, I can't see the water. I can't see my hand. I can't see anything. So if something wants to just sort of come up right now,
it'd be goosed.
And if it's a real creature that could possibly be carnivorous, most likely living in that sort of environment, who's to say it wouldn't take a person? Now, that's not been recorded, but maybe that's because it's just good at taking people.
Yes.
We've never seen it. And when you're in the moment, those things pop into your head, don't they? Like,
oh, man.
Okay. Like, okay, I'm here now. I've got to stick it out. I'm hoping to see something, although this is a bit insane because I can't see anything anyway.
Yeah.
And yeah. Anyway, it's just one of those things. I think it's the one thing that a lot of people are puzzled by. Actually, is it resident in the loch? Does it move between the lochs, Loch Oich, Lochie, etc., and so on, or through the River Ness? And in the Beast of Britain book, I wrote sort of Beast goes west, Beast goes east, sort of injunctions of how it could possibly move out to the sea.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem really that easy. There's sightings in all of these other lochs and places. Seems to be a definite loch between the west side at the very end there near Loch Garry.
Yeah.
And I think it's at the Loch Lagan. Where is it now? I've got it here somewhere.
Is it Loch Lockie? Or Loch?
I think it's probably around about Loch Lockie.
Always wrong.
Let's just have a look. Yeah, okay, so you'd be there, but the Logan locks, yeah, where it would get kind of difficult.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of land in between them as well. So
is it possible? I'm wondering. I mean, if you could move across land in that kind of blackness, the blackness I saw. I walked along the River Oich at night as well, just to see if I could see anything, if there was that environment available. And again, I thought, well, if something was there splashing about in the water, I wouldn't see it.
You wouldn't see it.
Is it a possibility?
I think so. I certainly do. I mean, a couple of my favourite accounts are actually on land. The Margaret Monroe case, I think it's 1934. The last observation when we were there, actually, I took Stuart and Brian to Fort Augusta side, and I kind of took them to that roads where she had that sighting. I think it was on the right-hand side of the loch. Are you aware of the account where she was a maid for the house, and she was watching this huge creature, almost like like sunbathing, almost on the side
on the right-hand side of the loch in Fort Augustus. So not on the River Oich side, on the other side.
On the other side, yeah. So if I'm standing at the,
I know what that is. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just there. I mean, it's a great account. It's really good. And then a lot of people ask, well, why didn't you wake up your employer? But she was fairly new into the role, and I get that. I get where she was coming from. So yeah, I think it's entirely possible that whatever is lurking in that water quite clearly can come on land. And a lot of people say the land accounts are bullshit, and that they're free to make that conclusion. That's up to themselves, and that's their opinion. But there's another one as well where I know you were talking about the castle, and I'm sure it's Arthur Coplett, where it was 1960s, early 60s, where the same thing happened. He was approaching the castle walls, and he described a sound almost like an asthmatic
Oh yeah.
But
Like a
clearly,
wheezing.
yeah, yeah. And you could hear it was almost like kind of eating on the shrubbery around it, wherever it was. And he never saw anything, but the person he was with saw something, not retrieving. What's the word I'm looking for?
Retreating.
Retreating. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's the other way around. Back into the water. So I think I think these things probably can come out, and I think they probably do come out more at night time. However, that would then contradict the Margaret Monroe story because it was broad daylight and it was sunny.
I think with all animals, though, make it a sort of a really typical example. I live in London. There's foxes everywhere. Mostly you only see them at night. Occasionally you see one in the daytime. Not often, but it happens.
It does happen.
Animals just, they're also, I would imagine, individuals. Each individual Loch Ness monster would be its own type in a way. And you've got how I can say you've got good bears and bad bears and gentle bears and
I know,
aggressive bears, and
I
just think sometimes we've got to think of it that way as well.
Yeah, if there was one, I've never been a believer that there's just one. I think there's going to have to be several, if not more, of these things. And like you say about the foxes, you can totally apply that to an animal that may be amphibious. It's quite happy to pop its head up during the day, but there might be another one saying, "Oh, no, I'm too sensitive to light." To the dark depths.
I don't like the noise.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually one of my arguments as well about why there may not be so many neck and heads sightings anymore. Now, I know there was always a road around Loch Ness, but if you think about it from back then, I know there's been sightings, for 100 years, but everyone always seems to claim that it kicked off in 1933, early 30s. It's been going on a lot longer than that. But that kind of seemed to explode. And I mean, you'll see yourself from old videos or old papers that there was barely light pollution. There was no traffic. There was nothing. There was no busy tourists. There was no boats
streaming up and down with the big noisy engines.
Absolutely. So to me, that's quite a strong argument to why there may not be that type of thing. Because, pardon me, if you go into an animal's environment and you change it, it has to adapt.
Yeah.
So, and I've always kind of thought that's maybe why
that makes perfect sense to me. That as the loch has become busier and busier, was it something like 250,000 visitors a year?
Oh, it's crazy.
That big cruisers and other boats as well streaming up and down the loch all day long, every day. And really, if it did have to come up and take a breath, if that's what it's doing, that water is kind of choppy. It's hard to distinguish anything. It could easily just pop its head up above the parapet slightly and back down again.
That's it. Well, it was like, I don't know if you saw did you see the recent video that I posted about the boat that was caught in the really bad weather there?
No.
That splash that I heard was unreal. I really wish there was someone, Stuart and Brian was with me so they could have heard it too, because you really distinctly heard this a huge.
Oh, right. Yeah, like a plunge.
Yeah, it was honestly it was so loud.
Wow.
But there was my camera on my phone, did not pick it up because I think it was so windy as well. The weather conditions are really poor and bad. But as I've panned to my right, you could see the spray of. I'm not saying it's a whale, but it sounded like that when a whale reaches and then, and you get that puff of the spray that came across, and I caught it, and my reaction is very genuine. I'm like, what was that? What's going on?
That? No, I'm gonna have to have a look at that after this now.
It's really interesting because then seconds later I saw the exact same behaviour when it was hitting the boat, which is a solid object, and I was there for hours. And Roland pointed this out, so thank you, Roland. That I was there for hours and I did not see that behaviour at all. I didn't see that phenomenon, that natural. The waves were high, the wind was really fast as well, but I did not once see anything else on the loch that day apart from that moment. And then when I saw the boat as well, it was so interesting to compare the two.
I mean, there's stories, obviously including the Alistair Campbell one as well, about them, hearing the boats before they come, and then witnesses have seen them
Yep.
describe that big splash. So, I mean, that makes perfect sense. We can't say what it was, unfortunately, but it's got to be something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, unless there's a big old seal hiding in the loch at the moment, which is not a great explanation because normally they're very visible seals, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, they're friendly, but they're not. I wouldn't say seals are
Not shy.
animals. Yeah, I wouldn't say so. I mean, I've visited that loch a lot, and even Inverness, and I have seen seals in the River Ness that are going out to the sea. I can see them, and they're really curious animals. They will pop up, and there's a bit of dry patch, and again, I've seen them. There's wee, these tiny wee islands on the river, especially when the river's really low.
Yeah.
I have seen that. So you are right. It is possible. It's a very boring idea, personally, for the Loch Ness monster. But people aren't stupid. I mean, we've all got a wee bit of knowledge on.
We know what a seal looks like.
Yeah,
Your average person knows what a seal looks like, and even in that situation where you're hoping to see a Loch Ness monster, it wouldn't take very long for you to make a seal.
Mm-hmm.
You might be fooled in it. Yeah, exactly.
Well, seals don't have the long neck. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, their head is attached to that body.
Mm.
That's what annoys me about some of the skeptics, that they'll tell you what you've seen without you being there, and that pisses me off a lot. Now, I understand why they're doing that, because as you say, I don't want to discourage people, but they're saying this is a possibility, but it's thinking, look, mate, don't insult me. I know what animals look like.
You have to strike off natural candidates first. It's normal, but I have always found with the Loch Ness monster in particular that the natural candidates are more of a stretch compared to the witness sighting than the sighting itself.
Yes.
And people come up with all kinds of things. So there's like, a giant eel, also an eel that's 30 feet long, living in the loch that comes out into land, or can sort of suspend itself above the water to look like a head and neck. Somebody's tried to convince me of that. I said, that's physically impossible for an eel to do.
It cannot do that.
What's holding it up?
Yeah.
That's all body.
I looked into this a lot, and I went all over the internet looking for eels traveling on land. Now, it is true they do travel on land. You've seen them yourself, small rivers, but they won't go huge distances. They won't do it, and I think they'll only do it as a matter of either I need to get food or I need to go to A to B. But you are right. I've never once seen an eel pop its head up and looking about. I just don't get that. I don't understand it at all.
Not at that level anyway. And there's the rounded boat like back, the left-hand boat back, or the humps and all these things, and you just think to yourself, what else could there be? Even here once somebody mentioned, I don't know who this was, I can't ever remember who it was, that there could be a giant mud skipper or the places saw head and neck like appendage as a lure. And I thought, how big is the fish it's trying to catch?
Exactly.
If you've got something 40 feet long with a lure like that, what else is in there? My goodness.
Yeah.
And but then ghosts, portals, all these things that when the skeptical debunking strays into the unbelievable and the extraordinary, just to make it anything other than what it sounds like.
Yeah.
And I think that's a strange weird habit that we have as humans. Oh, it must have been this, and I'll suggest something. Maybe it's aliens. Maybe it's a portal. Something new. It's so unbelievable and out there. Could it be an animal that's just escaped our attention, or we've not been able to find in this murky 700 plus feet deep body of water?
It is the best location in the world for hide and seek. You cannot see a thing.
Yeah.
It's just a nightmare. Now, again, I don't want to disrespect anybody, but I don't follow the whole portal thing or UFO alien thing. It's that kind of enters the realms of Star Trek, and
we're going into the fantastical to explain something that's
we don't even know what is there.
Yeah.
So, and I get it. If that's someone else's passion, fantastic. Please bash on. But I certainly don't subscribe to that.
I don't devalue it, but I similarly to yourself, I'm looking for animals.
Yes, absolutely.
Animals that are as yet undiscovered, or we thought were extinct that may still be alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
That kind of thing.
I mean, I mean, you'd probably be the same. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, but I grew up thinking and wanting it to be, to please you. So
Yeah,
I
sure.
think
That's
everyone wanted that. That was our hope. But as you get older, I think,
yeah.
oh, it's so disheartening to say because that's what I want it to be, but I know it's highly unlikely, which sucks. But I mean, there's so many different sightings, there's so many different accounts and descriptions.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it. Is just it's never the catalogue from the years is so addictive
It's
to it.
huge.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's huge. And it's probably one of the best. I mean, of course, you have to sift through the good and the bad,
yeah,
especially on the register, for example, which is a very, I would say, in a way, it's a very objective record because you're not making a judgment call on what the people have said they've seen. They're just recording the sighting.
yeah.
Fine, fair enough. Um, but it is probably the best catalog of a lake monster sighting in the world. And then maybe after that, you've got something like Ogopogo or Champ, but there's nothing that's as
No.
frequently seen and as looked for as this animal. Yeah, I've got like a mixed relationship with the loch. I've only been there 3 times, living so far away,
Yeah.
and I remember when I first went there, actually thinking that it was like a aging cryptozoological Coney Island, like a knackered old fairground,
Right.
from another era.
Yeah, right, okay, I get it now.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's
it
past the
was
sell
some,
by date. That's it. It's gone.
yeah, it was just something about it at that point, and I know they've done a lot of stuff to it since, but it was something about it that seemed like it was done.
Yeah.
Basically, I was going to like a museum of sorts, but since then, in the following visits, I feel more and more that there's still something to find,
Mhm.
and we just gotta, we've just gotta get back into looking for these things. I think it's the same the world over because it's not isolated. There's lake monster stories all around the British Isles, not just Loch
Yeah.
Ness,
Yeah.
and also all over the world. And I think it's an area that deserves more attention.
Oh, absolutely. And you are right. I mean, Loch Ness and I dare say Loch Morar as well. I think that I would love an expedition to go back to Loch Morar because
Mm,
I know it's a lot more, it's a pain in the arse to get to. It is more difficult. The terrain around it is nowhere near as accessible as like Loch Ness is, but the water's really clear. It's
mm,
beautiful and it's deeper than Loch Ness. Um, but I think that's where Adrian, I'm sure he started off
mm,
there, and then
mm.
he moved his expedition to Loch Ness. I might get that wrong again. I apologise if
He
that's
definitely
mistaken.
went there. I don't know which came first, but that's on my. I'm aware of the inaccessibility, and I think that's the best chance of finding something. It's got that direct sea inlet,
Yeah.
and that clear water would be fantastic. So what's the plan now with the group? You're going to get out there. Are you going to start increasing in size, putting up more observation posts? What's going to happen?
Yeah, so what we're doing, Steve actually was before I kind of went public with it. I was emailing Steve, I was emailing Roland, and I think I emailed Dick as well, just saying I'm thinking about doing this.
Mm,
Any tips? What direction should I go in? And they all gave me their piece, and they were all really amazing with it. There's pros and cons. The main one was what you're going to bring that's different.
mm,
Now, that's a really difficult question to
mm.
to answer because I don't have it. Simply, I don't have that answer. That it's going to be just good old fashioned eyesight. You're going to have to wait. You're going to have to be patient. You're going to have to be passionate about it. And that's what I love about Steve. That he's very passionate
Mm.
and he's there and he's doing it. And Roland's more of the I'm trying to think the why, the if, the how, and again, I very much respect that. But Steve offered to me if it was possible, what I was going to do. I've created some flyers.
Okay.
And I was going to give it to Steve. And Steve, when he has, there's people come up to his van and ask him questions and buy one of his models. If they were genuinely interested in that mystery, he would give them one of the flyers that we've created for LNE, which I thought was a great
Fantastic.
gift
Yeah.
which I thought was really nice of him. And again, I really thank him for that. So that's one thing I need to do. I need to print them off. But that's the direction we want to go, and we want to grow. And it's not about fame. It's not about money. It's just about getting all those people who have that passion, we're all there for one reason. We want something to be there. We need to find this.
It's like a cryptozoological co-op.
Yes, that's it. That's exactly
Yeah.
it. And what I've noticed so far, I've never came across anyone that's been rude or disrespectful, because they're all in the same boat, and I love that community, especially the Loch Ness community. It's good to challenge. It's healthy to challenge each other with respect. But the idea of it is, is to expand, is to have more than just one or two groups. It'd be fantastic to get what we had back in the 50s and 60s. I can't remember when it was disbanded. Was it the 70s? Yeah, the 70s.
I don't remember the
I'm really
date.
bad with my dates.
It's a question for Dick. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we're hoping. And then I've been asking a couple of the guys. Again, it's about promoting rather than seeking the fame. I was going to make hoodies for all of us who were on the site, to wear these to say, right, that's them, that's the group, this is what they're doing. So it would promote other people to be interested in it. That, eventually it'd be great to have all those vans back with big cameras on. That'll never happen, unfortunately. But technology.
Well, the cameras are a lot smaller now, I guess. But
yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah, technology is changing all the time, so there's going to be ways we can do this. It's not far fetched. It's on the doorstep. This is something that we are doing. And the way I see it, it's the only way we're going at the minute is we're going up. We're going to continue doing what we're doing. And like I say, man, we don't have any funding. We don't do any of that stuff, but we do it because we're passionate, and you are as well. And that's all we need at the minute, is someone and some people who have that drive and are willing to do it.
I think the people are out there, Alan, and I think people are looking more than ever before for something, an escape into something that interests them. There's so much going on in the world that looking for these new discoveries again, or rediscovering these old hobbies like Nessie watching and other things, is good for you. It's good for the soul. You get outside.
Absolutely.
You get the chance to maybe have an experience. And at the same time, you meet like-minded people who are not like your wife or my wife, and acknowledge that.
As you want to say, I'm guessing, is she just like?
No, I used to say to her, her name is Neely. I used to say, "They're real, Neely. They're really real." And she'd say, "I know they're real, but I don't care."
Do you know what? That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
That's good enough for me. Whereas my wife is just saying, "You're a lunatic." Absolute lunatic. Sorry, give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to. There we go. That's better. Sorry. It was about to die. My laptop was about to die. Sorry.
Oh, goodness. Okay. I've been in that situation sometimes. So what do you think about the future of Loch Ness? Now, we've had these 2 years of the C word, the other C word, and I've seen nothing but sale signs going up on all these little hotels around there. I'm always tempted, but I never take the plunge.
We have seriously spoken about it, but we have. Well, our day jobs. So we're social workers throughout the day.
Oh wow!
Love to be a full-time.
Well, this is why you're so patient.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's an amazing job. It really is.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
Sure.
But it's very, very rewarding at the same time. We're always looking. We had a laugh the other day. Just thinking, if we got a house up there, it's the Highland Council. They're always looking for social workers. So she can continue doing that, and I'll devote myself to.
I'm sure there's plenty of work in Inverness.
Oh, there's loads.
Yeah.
There's loads.
There is.
See, I'm really happy now. Just if she could hear you saying that, that'd be great.
There definitely is. But there was a few things that came up, and my wife, she's from the Middle East, and she moved here to London 17 years ago, I think. And yeah, about 17 years. And she was from Tel Aviv anyway, so she's very citified. She's a city girl. And even moving to somewhere like Cardiff seems like the countryside to her.
Yeah.
Not up for it, yeah,
Yeah.
not really up for it. So I think I've mentioned it was, we could be next to the lake. It would be the loch. It'd be beautiful for the children. They get all that fresh air, no sunlight, but they get fresh air. And no, she's not up for it. And
It's not
that's
up for it. Oh wow.
yeah,
We're used to that. We're suburban. I say Edinburgh. We're just outside of Edinburgh.
okay.
But we're used to that, and we rarely go abroad, me and Kim. So we're quite happy where we're at. But in terms of Loch Ness, I don't know what's going to happen to the place. I was really worried about it throughout COVID. Um, yeah, I was really worried about the people up there and the industry and everything, and like everywhere else, it did plummet, unfortunately. But that's another thing I can't stand as well. See when people comment, "Oh, it must be tourist season. There's been a sighting of Nessie." Blah blah blah. It's like, oh God Almighty, that grinds my gear. It really passes me off because there's sightings throughout the year, and many of them won't be reported. So it really annoys me. But yeah,
it's just human nature, and the internet's a giant conduit for. I almost imagine some people some days waking up like, life, and then they switch on their social media and they see somebody posting something like, yeah, that guy, that's the one I'm going to smack today. They press the button, better, and off they try into the.
He's done his trolling for the 15 minutes.
He's done his trolling. It's like stress relief. You've helped somebody getting up for the day, get on with things. That's the way I see it. Whereas in the old days, I mean, I used to troll them back horribly sometimes, but not in a bad, like a mean or sort of a passionate way, and in a dispassionate kind of, you're sweet kind of reply, hearts, kisses.
It definitely depends on how you're waking up in the morning.
Yeah, and then if they come back with more insults, I'd just say, let's do lunch or something, or
But I don't know what's in store for us. I tell you one person who, again, I want to keep mentioning him because he does deserve more credit. Is Dick's been so helpful.
Yeah.
And this is a guy that people claim who, he's anti-Nessie, he's a skeptic. He's done his part, and a lot of people don't realise that he was there from day dot with investigation. I'm sure Dick wants there to be something there, but he's in the mindset of he needs to debunk it to make sure that it's. I don't want to speak on behalf of him. Sorry. All I'm going to say is that he wants something to be there.
I mean, he's seeing 5.5 decades of hoaxes and hyperbole, and we could forgive him for being a little bit skeptical.
Of course.
If I'd been there for 50 years, I might start to feel that there was something awry, and that's a long time. And in the human mind, if you've not had a sighting in 5 decades, and he sails a lot too, doesn't he? He sails a boat there. Is he like
he's a skipper.
He's a skipper. Okay, so for a pet, like which is it like a tourist boat or?
I think it was a small boat. I don't think it was a big boat.
Okay.
But he has his own boat. I'm sure he's still.
Yeah.
I want to say there's an allotment there at Temple Pier that he's still.
Okay.
Again, I sorry, Dick, if this is wrong.
Yeah, we're sorry, but
he's been a great guy. He's been really supportive as well.
I was really rude to him at the beginning, and I've often contemplated over the years just sending him a message saying, "Sorry, Dick, I was the dick."
Yeah. So there was an afternoon where I met up with a guy called Simon, and we hit it off straight away. Like, great guy. Like he's quite openly and say that he's 95% skeptic, 5% believer. Okay. So this was really interesting when he came up with me, and I met him outdoors. We actually spent more time discussing the topic than actually looking at the water.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, that was amazing. I had a great afternoon with him. He's a fantastic bloke. But that was interesting, having someone like myself who does believe, and I'm with a 95% skeptic. But that was great. That was a really nice balance.
Yeah.
And this, again, that's healthy to have. And if someone is a skeptic, I mean, they're kind of almost being slightly hypocritical to themselves if they wanted to come along and sit for hours and hours and hours and watch the loch. But I'm not going to discourage that. Come
No, well, I
along.
think
We want you here. It's
that's
great.
healthy skepticism. You're challenging it. I personally, I think these days, I don't mind what anybody thinks. If you come to the conversation genuine and without ulterior motive,
Yeah.
then it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter what the exchange is because we're just exchanging ideas.
We
They
are.
could be different. They could be the same. And I think quite a while ago now, I realized that people don't have to. I don't need people to agree with me to like them.
Yes. Yes.
I like them anyway. We just think something different about X, Y, or Z,
Yeah.
and if that's the case, I can just learn a little bit about their opinion. We don't have to sort of like slug it out.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be
verbally and
absolutely not. I mean, again, there's loads of things that I disagree with other believers, and I'll call them out on it, and I expect to be called out myself. And again, that's healthy to do that, and that's where the conversation comes from. I love it when they kind of all gel together, even if it's if it started off negatively. We've all kind of started to see where we've been coming from and add it together. It's a really nice recipe and where we're going with it. And I love when people come together as well and they investigate together. Roland's going to hate me for talking about this and everything else, but there's that famous bit of I call it a famous bit of footage because to me it's the best video footage of the Loch Ness Monster, and it's from 1992. You've probably seen it on Roland's blog as well. It was from a camcorder. And it's amazing. And I know a lot of people say, oh, it's just two wakes that are colliding. And it's like, no, it's not. And I wish, I've spoken about it for months to do a voiceover explaining what I can see so other people, it's so frustrating that no one can see, well, I'll say nobody. There will be people who understand what I'm talking about. It's like, nah, it's just, what's he talking about? What a load of shite. But that is so cool, that footage. I've enhanced it, I've slowed it down. But Steve came in and he ended up finding these original clippings in his van off that incident. And it was amazing. It was great. There was messages back and forth privately and both kind of public as well. So that collaborative working, again, that's
what's needed. No man is an island, and sometimes what one person fails to see, another will see. I think it's a litmus test sometimes. It's almost, you mentioned about the narration or the pointing out, perhaps some arrows and things like that would help. But oftentimes, to me, and it's the same in the Bigfoot genre, once the circles and arrows come in, it means it's not plain to see. It's not bad to do it, but it's almost a litmus test to say it's not clear enough to definitively, prove the.
It's strange that you say, because my wife actually said the exact same thing. So I was trying to, what you've just said there, right? I was editing that as we speak. Not right now, sorry. Like the whole circle thing, I was going to point and point. And it was actually the non-believer next door who said, if you were in court, that's called leading. And I thought,
you're leading the witness.
Right. And I thought, shit, she's absolutely right. So I scrapped it and I thought, do you know what? That I don't want to be that person to say it's definitely not a paddleboard. That is definitely not a paddleboard. That's something else. But yes, I stopped doing that straight away, thinking I don't want to be that arsehole who.
Well, it's not that it's been helpful actually, trying to point out to people what you can see, and I don't think it's bad in any way. I just, from my perspective, well, an evidential perspective, it fails litmus test of evidence because it needs to be. Well, and once we get to that point, there was something funny on the Bigfoot side. I saw Jeff Meldrum give a talk about the Paddy footage, and he'd got hold of the original footage and had it restored. This was in Maine in 2018, and he made a really, really good point. And that footage is amazing with all the musculature moving underneath the head and the gait that can't be repeated. All of these things here. And he said this is some of the most disputed footage in the world, and it's still not accepted scientifically as being bona fide and valid. Anything less than this is no evidence at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that really stuck with me. I thought, okay, that's where we are, and whether it's the surgeon's photograph or or the footage you mentioned there with Roland, and many other bits and pieces that have popped up over the years. Great Loch Ness footage that's disappeared or has been shelved somewhere. None of it has ever been as definitive as that at any point. And it's a water-bound beastie, so it's a bit more difficult to get that kind of.
I was going to suggest that. I mean, there's only a handful of video footage that I don't even use the word compelling. Hang on, sorry, Andy, my charger is about. I've plugged my charger in, but I've got.
No, that's okay.
2 seconds. I'm so
probably loose.
Now in the dark.
Okay. That's the lamp cone?
Oh, is that better? There we go, sorry.
Fine, don't worry.
I'm rinsed up here. I have shorts on underneath, I'm sorry.
I didn't see anything.
Thank goodness.
Oh, you're like one of those newscasters.
Say again, sir?
One of the newscasters is all shirt and tie and shorts at the bottom, isn't it? Yeah.
Just got my jammies on underneath that. So
no, it's fine. It's fine.
But there was there's only a small handful to me of video footage that could be, I don't want to say compelling evidence, but definitely that 1992 footage. I know the Bobby Pollock footage is very rare to find. You'll see a brief clip of that in Legends End. That's really interesting. And what's the other one again that I really enjoy? And I disagree with Dick on this one. Oh, Ian Holmes. Is it Ian Holmes footage?
Oh, that's what it's just below the surface.
Yeah.
Yes.
See it traveling along.
95 or something like that, I think. Or 2002 also.
2007.
2007.
2007. I mean,
he was back in the papers again recently, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Because someone sketched whatever it was. I couldn't open it. I think her name was Rita who posted it. I couldn't open the link up. I think it was not the Press and Journal or something.
Yeah, it was one of these subscription bits. Yeah.
Thank you. And it is a really interesting piece of footage. And I know Dick says it's wind turbulence, it's a wind drone, stuff like that. And I get his argument for that.
Could be.
It could well be, because we observed a lot of that when we were last up there. But the problem with that is this object is very consistent. It's a consistent speed. It's going in one direction.
Okay.
If you look at windrows and wind turbulence, it seems to be very sporadic.
Yeah.
And it's left and right. And
it moves all over the place.
Yeah. This thing does not. So I think that's brilliant. And again, he was up there, but he only caught it by chance.
Yeah.
That to me screams volumes as well. And it'd be great if we caught something when we were doing our observations. But obviously that's the whole point. That's why we're there. But and getting back to what you said, that we could be looking in that direction, and then Ness could pop up 6 feet away from it, and you would never know about it. You would never know about it. So
but that's the great thing about having all of those eyes and the right equipment, is that you're basically increasing the chances.
That is it.
And
that's
what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. People with the right equipment that can record footage that doesn't look like it's a mile away.
Yes, exactly.
And that's
not like pixelated that makes you look like Minecraft or something like that. It's
Minecraft. There's just a lot of it. You can't expect tourists popping up to an area to have like a huge lens with everything that they're taking with them. But it is nearly impossible to photograph objects well from a quarter of a mile, half a mile away, unless you've got the right equipment. One of the things I think about Loch Ness, and I'm excited at the moment, so I think people like yourself bringing this interest back to people, creating a forum in which they can get involved and surround the area. I think one of the things that could happen is, with the right attention, is it could spread, to other lakes around the world as well, other lake monsters, and even other cryptids. At the moment, I'm sort of mulling something over in my head, which is, we're in this weird environmental situation in the world. It's not exactly clear, but some habitats are becoming endangered, and I started thinking to myself, will some of these things go extinct before we even find them?
Yeah.
Are we in that sort of situation? Maybe not a Loch Ness, but in other places in the world. And I think actually getting people interested in finding them creates almost sort of a tourist dollar appeal, which provides a protection
I
for the
was going to
habitat.
say, like a safety net. Yeah.
Yeah, like a safety net. And that
Yeah.
would be a great thing, even if it's just adventure tourism where people want to go to Loch Ness or to Lake Okanagan or any other place where the cryptid is supposed to reside and try to find it or look about respectfully, in the area, not causing a mess or a deterrence. That could protect these areas. That would be a
Yeah.
great form of speculative environmentalism.
Yeah, I like that. I like
Yeah,
that. That's very cool. But you're right. It gets them involved, and
yeah,
it will continue to make people think. And there's nothing more curious than what if.
yeah.
And no one can say for sure. I mean, I really like that. And I know you were talking about the Gimli and Patterson footage. The one guy that actually made me believe that footage was 100% genuine was a guy on YouTube called MK Davis. I don't know
Yes,
if like
I know
he
who that is. Yeah.
goes through detail of each frame of that, and that blew me away.
Mm,
Like I was like, that's alive. That's a living creature. That
mm.
cannot be faked. What he was highlighting and what he was showing. And I know you were mentioning about the muscles. Was it almost like a hernia on the leg as well?
Oh, there's something down there. Yeah, I
It
mean, Doug
popped up,
Hijack was
but
pointing out
it's the
the other day,
muscle
and
at the
yeah,
back. And I remember for years everyone thought that it was carrying an infant
yeah.
its front, but obviously that enhanced, and instead
Mm,
it's two breasts.
mm.
And you can very, very clearly see it. It's incredible footage.
I mean, it's an odd detail to add. There is a sort of a sub detail to that, whereas Patterson's book that he released, I think the year before, 2 years before, did have a drawing of a Bigfoot with breasts on it.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
That's a little bit sort of coincidental. But that could be based on earlier sightings as well, collected by John Green, in which I forget the name of the prospector, the hunter, who'd seen a female Sasquatch with breasts around about that time as well.
Wow.
It'll take me ages to find it now.
Yeah.
I'll put the name in the description, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Don't type into Google. Just area.
yeah, yeah. But it was, that could have been based upon that. But then the correlation between his little Bigfoot pamphlet, with a book with the breasted Bigfoot, and then recording it seems weird. But on top of that, Planet of the Apes was out around about that time. They didn't have anything like that.
No, certainly
They
not.
didn't have anything like that.
No
And
way.
I think, it still stands up as far as I'm.
Well, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I am very picky when it comes to cryptozoology, and I get in trouble for that. But that's just the way.
Yeah.
It's how I do it. I'm not saying that the rest are bullshit. It's just I'm more interested in others, whereas the other ones are like, "Ugh, I've not got time for that." I am very, very selective. But Bigfoot is definitely one of them. And like you said,
Yeah.
lake monsters. And it is more difficult to do that kind of expedition and observation. So it's easier to go into the woods with a camera,
Mm.
you know, and just start filming about. It's easy to do that. Not saying that you would actually capture anything. It's a lot harder to do that at Loch Ness, whereas we are only looking at the surface.
Mm.
That's all we've got, and that's the most frustrating part. And it would be incredible if somewhere along the line that if someone was so invested in this with us,
Mm.
with our group, that there was funding there to get a boat and and to do these other bits and bobs of these experiments and who's to say that that might happen, and I'm hoping that happens,
Mm.
but at the minute it's all about patience. It's all
And
about patience, being
get some
persistent.
submersible drones in there, sonar equipped,
Yeah, I mean, I've been
and pilot them around.
underwater drones. I mean, they're
Mm.
not cheap, so
No, I mean you'd have to have some real backing for that.
absolutely.
Um, Gosh, I think it's an amazing thing that it could possibly be there. I did a little study in my book, actually, my first book, and a friend of mine collated some great information, and it was about nearly all of the sightings that are not midloch being at near the inver villages, the rivermouth villages.
Yeah,
I started speculating. Of course, that's where the fish move into
fish.
deeper water. It's
Yeah,
easier to catch them.
yeah.
Have you thought about sort of setting up at all these
We have.
inver?
We
You
have
have.
indeed. We have. So that again, I always refer back to. I always feel bad that I feel like I need to almost say these things out before someone does me for plagiarism. But there's only so much of Loch Ness we can talk about without getting into someone else's territory.
No,
Makes sense.
yeah.
We're all in it together, in my opinion. But I've always believed that that's where a camera should be placed, both high up and both, if you can, if you've got someone brave enough,
Beneath the, yeah.
swim out a wee bit where the mouth of the river is. Oh God, what was his name? McLean, the McLean sighting, where he saw the tail coming up as well.
Oh, gotcha.
The beige white underneath. So I was there. I think it was my second time there, at that exact location. And what was funny that someone had left a chair. I don't know why. So it was perfect. I just sat there.
That's nice.
In the morning. It was brilliant.
Well, like a fold-up chair or something, or
no, it was like
a rocking chair.
Yeah, like I wish it was a deck chair, a rocking chair. Sorry, but it was just a wee like a garden chair. But
Okay.
whoever left it, thank you. But yeah, even sitting there and having that going through my head, thinking that is a great idea because that's where if it was going to get the fish because we all where the fish are in Loch Ness, they tend to stay closer to the sides off the loch rather than either in the middle or the bottom. They are there, we know that.
Yeah.
But fishermen, the locals, they all know where that is, and I know we've got the sonars that are really, really at the bottom of the loch. I understand that, but if it's hunting, I think we need to be looking closer to the actual sides of the loch, and not even too deep. I think they're going to be wandering about at those sides of the loch where, it's going to be shallow water, but still
going to be lighter as well.
Yeah, and it's still deep enough to hide something huge.
Yeah.
The visibility is so poor in that place. Even if it's a beautiful, beautiful sunny day with no clouds in it, you're getting maybe 15
max, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, it's a push at that.
Yeah.
And it's just black. It's darkness. You wouldn't see it. I remember, I think it was my first time there where I was doing Urquhart Bay, and I actually went through the Urquhart Forest, the wetlands there. That's beautiful, that spot.
Yeah, nice.
And I actually had a dream. This is really weird, right? And I had a dream that I was during the time with the whole giant eel thing. And in those wetlands, right, there's loads of wee rivers, tiny wee burns, and it looks like something does slither around.
Oh, wow.
And it's horrible. It's really creepy. And I know it's natural, and I know it's just been done by water. But that was going through my head.
Just the water finding a way.
Yeah, but there was a bit. That's exactly it. Yeah, sorry, it's like kind of meandering around the trees and stuff. If you're ever there again, you should visit. It's absolutely stunning. But there was a bit where the river got really wide and really deep, but there was a fallen down tree, and I thought I can cross that, and I did. But halfway across,
oh no,
that horrible dark peaty water was right below me. Couldn't see anything. And in the back of my mind, all I saw was just something popping up and grabbing my leg. And I've got a really wild imagination, I know. And I turned back. I actually got a fright. I thought, oh no, I'm out of here. Sorry, cheerio. But when the weather died down, I crossed over. And I could even see loads of fish. And there's a beautiful...
No, there's so much. I don't know, when people say there's not enough fish up there, there's so much. It's unbelievable anybody could even think that. And I'm not talking about the fish farms out in the loch, because that's sealed, But just swimming about, you just see massive trout and salmon all the time.
They're huge. They're really big. And then everyone's saying there's not enough food, and I disagree with that as well. And the latest DNA, the eDNA story, showed that massive eel.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't say that Nessie was an eel, and that really annoys me when the press got a hold of that saying there's a new movie, it's a giant eel, and I thought that's not. It's been along for a long.
You didn't see that at all. Yeah, he just
shite.
But they need a story, from their perspective. Whenever they do it, I'm like, You need something. Nobody's buying. You know, there's a lot of eel stocks. They didn't find Nessie, but who knows next time? That's not selling any newspapers. So
It's not at all.
it's got to be
No.
something big. Shock, horror. I think when that eDNA study came out, I I posted something quite flippant saying about the study, and then saying, at long last, this golden goose has laid a normal egg. Yeah.
But that's in a nutshell.
Yeah.
That's I was
Yeah.
really frustrated with that. I mean, when they told us they had this press conference coming,
Yeah.
we were all so excited. All of us
Yeah.
were. And there's a few lucky people, including Steve, that got to go to that press conference. And I love Steve for his reaction to it. It was pitch perfect. It was just why gather the world press for something
Yeah.
that we already knew? And like I
Yeah.
said, they had to have a story, and
Well,
I'm sure they
yeah,
have
the
other.
wheels are in motion, basically.
Well,
Yeah.
that's it. And I
Yeah.
think because they created such a fuss about it, they had to come out and say something. So
Professor Gemmel's benefactors paid for that study. Would like some attention to the science that was used. That's going to be sold and sold and sold again. And what better than something as attractive as Loch Ness to
of
to
course,
prove this amazing new form of science. I mean, they can even suck air from an environment out and take eDNA from it, get soil samples. It's amazing.
yeah.
I'm not sure exactly how how holistic it was. The study. They have about 30 sites. They went to a certain depth. You're not testing the whole loch. They didn't find any otters there. We
Or
know there's otters there.
or seals.
Or seals. Oh, seals, you could say, okay, there wasn't seals there at the time, or there were not seals there at the time. Fine. But there's otters there all the time,
Yeah,
right? There's a population. So the fact that they didn't find them
yeah.
is kind of
The,
perplexing.
the mystery to me was it was the 25% that they couldn't identify, or
Yeah.
what's the word? I mean, it doesn't mean it was unidentified. It just may have been unexplainable. It may have been broken. It may have been,
No, I think they were unusable samples.
yeah. But I mean, there was a
Yeah.
good enough there to say
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
But it's just. But again, it all interlinks with each other because I think the last sighting we had
Yeah.
from that wretched webcam,
Yeah.
and they tested that site where the account happened, and they didn't find it. To me, again, that's just showing how useless that bloody web.
Oh, it's awful. Yeah.
So it was obviously something else. But look, I'm sure Professional Gamers team had other objectives, and I'm sure they completed that, which is
Yeah.
great. Which is, and credit to them. That means
Well, I think if they could have found something, they definitely would have told us. There would have
yeah,
been huge news. It would have been great for them, in fact.
yeah, oh man,
Yeah. Yeah.
that university in New Zealand would be
Mm.
famous. That would be them, wouldn't it? For the rest
You'd
of
be
the
visiting that place as much as that Hobbit house, that village, and everything else that
down
could
the
set up there.
Shire.
Oh, fancy a tour to Mordor sometime later in the year. Hop over to New Zealand to the Mount
You know what?
Doom.
Take a walk to Glasgow. You're pretty much in Mordor there. That's
Yeah.
it. I'm joking, Glasgow. I love
Oh
Glasgow.
gosh. I've never been to Glasgow actually. Been to Edinburgh, Inverness, obviously, and the little town surrounding. But it's on my list. Aberdeen, I think, is a nice place.
Aberdeen's all right.
Yeah.
Glasgow is nice. Glasgow is a beautiful city, and it is incredibly friendly. I know everyone says that, but it genuinely
Yeah.
is. I find it more friendly than Edinburgh. There's a lot of wankers in Edinburgh.
Oh, that's I'm a big Billy Connolly fan, so he does a great Edinburgh accent, doesn't he? Um, the I can't do it because I can't do
Oh, I
accents
can't
at
even
all.
do it.
Yeah, but oh gosh,
Really is amazing.
every place, every place has that. I just think, generally speaking, sometimes there's places in the UK, and I try to explain this to my wife's family and also to many of my American friends when I'm talking to them.
Yeah.
It's not just that there's sort of 17 classic, distinguishable regional accents in the UK. As that between those 17, there's like 100 more.
Yeah. Oh,
And in the town that I grew up in, Oh, in the place in Wales I grew up in, there's towns 6 miles away where I can't understand the people and they're speaking in English. And there's one 6 miles from that, but they can't understand those guys. And
Yeah.
that's what Britain's like all the way through.
Yeah.
And like if you're down with the Scots, the Scots speakers down in Galloway, they got a really weird accent. They got that strange oldie English dialect.
It's
Then you get
bizarre.
up to the Gaelics, at the top, and then it's just confusing. And if you don't know the lay of the land, you're lost.
There's family members that I don't understand. I'm related to them, and they're from right up Durness way and
Yeah,
Skye and stuff like that. Who used to be Gaelic speaking. He doesn't really speak it now. But
yeah,
even just in mid conversation, thinking, like, do you want
yeah.
to just
That's
nod and agree and
yeah. Whatever word you just said, then that's local. That's very local. We haven't got that here.
yeah, definitely.
It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. I used to work
I think
with
we
some
add
Welsh
on,
guys like that, and just from the valley, and just say, yeah, all the
yeah,
time,
from the valley, from the
up to
valley.
the last.
Yeah. What was that thing you said earlier? Was it safe hands?
No, safe, and Andy is my name, so safe and like Then they
Oh,
always say if you ever watch the Gavin and Stacey show, the big girl, she says a lot. That's kind of how they call out to each other. Oh,
oh,
safe and
oh.
you safe, bruv. That's it, safe guys. Yeah,
See, I'm going to
feeling
Google this now.
feeling safe.
Right, okay. I like wee things like that because Edinburgh we say we and a on the end of things, which is
Oh,
really weird.
okay.
It's like oh, it was good, eh? It was good, eh?
Oh, okay.
What's that? Eh?
Nice.
What's that? It's a weird thing. But like you say, every region is totally unique from the
It
next.
is unique. I don't think to be honest, I've lived in England for quite a while now, and I do like it here very, very much. I like English people. I administratively, I appreciate Southern England a lot, coming from a place like Wales,
Yeah,
where there's a different administrative, philosophical output.
yeah, no,
You
okay,
know,
yeah.
I think that's one thing that's really good about English, and they also they're happy to just kind of leave you alone and not be in your business.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of nice. But then also, they're not really around if you want to chat.
Yeah.
Just like a free chat on the bus with a stranger, no strings attached. You don't exchange numbers later. You just go your separate ways. And I figured out that it's a matter of politeness actually. That if they talk to you, it's with intention of becoming your friend.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you talk to them, they're nervous that that's on the cards. Whereas from a Celtic point of view, we could just shoot the breeze on the bus or the train or wherever. And when you get to your stop, you say, anyway, nice to chat to you, and you just leave.
Yeah, that's
Nobody
it.
expects the exchange. I
Absolutely.
saw the funniest thing I've ever seen in London here about 3 years, and I was working weekends. And on the Saturday morning early, I was going in with the other sad commuters working on a Saturday on a train, and a few drunk people from the night before. And there was these two Irish lads, and they were sitting on like a four-seater, and there was two commuters, I suppose, sitting facing them. One of the Irish lads was definitely drunk and asleep, and the other one had clearly been up all night. And he's sitting there looking at the window, and then suddenly he turns around and he says to this lady, "Hello, my name's Patrick. How do you do?" And she, "Oh, hi." She was craning her neck at the window, and he didn't even notice. He talked to her the entire journey, and you could see she just wanted it to end. He was polite, he was nice, but if it
Yeah.
was the person making conversation, it was the worst thing that ever happened to her.
Yeah,
And
she's like, "Oh, don't talk to me."
when the train got to the station, he said, "Anyway, nice to talk to you," and just walked off. And she was like, "Oh, that's it," sort of thing. Like,
Yeah, so she's missed out on that kind of almost that rare connect. I say rare connection.
yeah,
But I know exactly what you mean. This happened to me just even yesterday. See, walking the dog, and we Kylo, we randomly bumped into this wee old lady, and she was lovely. She was watching a squirrel, and she didn't have a dog with her. She was just sitting watching a squirrel. I know that was really weird. Sorry.
that's somebody who needs company. Yeah,
Wait,
who's just out watching squirrels, hoping a dog walker will happen upon. They're desperate for conversation. What are you doing? Nothing. Literally, this is what I've got. It's my conversation piece. Please speak to me.
this is the best day ever. It's a dog walking. I didn't think about that, but
25.
Alexa, she was such a lovely wee soul.
Yeah.
And all it took was me to say, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah.
And she joined me for the rest of the walk. I didn't ask her; she didn't ask it. It was just one of these natural things. And we got talking for ages. It's so much so we actually did 2 laps.
Wow.
And she was such a lovely wee old lady.
That's really nice. Yeah.
And it was just one of the most random things. And I didn't want to say it right. Off you go. I think, like you say, I think she was.
Yeah.
Squirrel wasn't communicating.
A nice face came along, and she thought, okay, and you were the right person. Good thing that you were there. If that happened in London, and you're walking, and somebody joined you, they're planning to murder you somewhere along the way. So that's what you're thinking anyway. You're thinking, oh my god.
Yeah. Well, my sister-in-law stays down in London. I want to say it's like, forgive me here, like Byfleet or West Byfleet or something.
Oh, that's nice. That's in Surrey. That's not far from me. That's
I don't know where it is. But even in that area, when me and my wife were walking out and just going for a walk, and saying hello to people, just like, which is bizarre because I don't know. I'm sure Scotland's not all like this, but I know the areas where I would go walking. If I say hello to someone, like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" That's fine, and off we go. Even in Edinburgh City, and especially Glasgow, if you say hello to a random person in Glasgow, you're best mates for life. You know, those things, but you don't exchange the numbers.
No, it's just chat.
And that's it. I think everyone just wants to chat up here, which is really good. But don't get me wrong, there's been a couple of times where I've said hello to someone and just get the
There's individuals throughout, but I think as a general it persists, and those are the pros and cons. To me, that's the difference between, because there's 3. Let's say there's 4. There's 4 Celtic nations attached to the country, and then there's the majority English population, and we're all British, but there's differences throughout. There's a lot more things that are the same between these 4 Celtic nations in the way they communicate. So when I first went to Ireland, there was a direct line of understanding. Everything I was talking to, the people there, I knew that they understood me without my subtext, without having to go into it. And in England, it's just different. They give you your space. They're also polite and nice, and all the things besides that. But in the neighborhood I'm in, which is a bit of a sort of a, I suppose we're in the cheap seats in a really posh neighborhood, basically. So in like the tiny house at the end of the posh neighborhood, and not my direct neighbors who are really nice, but if I see somebody in the street and they move from me a bit, I thank them. My thank you will turn them to stone. Like that kind of thing. And
they're not used to it almost, isn't it? It's bizarre.
It's almost like, why are you speaking to me? We're in the street. This is weird. And,
exactly. Oh dear God.
Anyway, pros and cons throughout.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I think we should probably wrap up, but I gotta be honest, I've really enjoyed it. I think we should do it again, and hopefully we can get up to the loch in the summer at some point. We should say hi and have a poke about.
Without question, absolutely. And again, I was going to say something really bad there, and I won't. I stopped myself. Talking about. I'm not going to say.
I'm curious now.
No. Is this going out? This.
Yeah, it's all recorded. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I definitely can't say what I'm going to say.
Okay, we'll say when I press stop. Sorry, audience, you're not going to find out what Alan's going to tell me. It's really terrible about different groups and populations in Britain.
No. Do you know what? It's fine. I'm just going to say, if you're ever struggling for accommodation, you know where I am. You know.
Thank you. Oh, yes. Yeah, thank you.
They can be a pain in the arse. So, but again, that'd be great, Andy. If you wanted to come up.
For sure.
Do an observation with us. That would be.
Do a visit, anyway. So it's been 2019. It's been a few years.
It's been a long time. Yeah, a lot of things have happened.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for inviting me on, Andy. It's been really nice. I know we've spoken in the past, but only via, messaging back and forth, but never actually.
That's the modern world now. A couple of social media messages, and we're buds for life. I was going to say is to anybody watching, anybody listening, check out Alan's page. How can they find you? What's the address of the page? It's a Facebook page, but is it a website as well?
It's still. So I'm working on the website still. It's something I'm not very good at, I will admit.
neither.
I think there's a guy called, Brian, the man who's part of the team. He was going to help me do a wee bit of it, and I'll save myself up for that. If not, I'm almost close to finishing it. But at the minute, we're solely based on the Facebook group, which is Loch Ness Exploration, or LNE, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
And the email is just lochnessexploration. No, it's not. Is it? What's my email address, Andy? I don't even know.
Wait a minute. Okay.
I
Send it to me.
I think it's just lochnessexploration@outlook.com.
I run such an unprofessional podcast. I'm terrible. Actually, in the description, the sort of the bio for the podcast, it says a lowbrow, low-tech, low-key endeavor. That's what it is. Okay, so Loch Ness Exploration at outlook.com.
There we go. That's
your email. I'm telling you your own email.
I know. Thank you so much, Andy. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, listen, Alan, thank you so much. It's been great to have you.
Yeah, you too, man.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Cheers.